Here's the deal. If your relationship is sexless, the issue is not just sex, it's deeper than that. And from a Buddhist perspective, intimacy issues like this are just a symptom, they're not the root cause. So in today's video, I'm going to offer you a spiritual perspective on this issue, not a therapeutic perspective. And we're going to uncover some of these root causes of what's blocking intimacy, how to reclaim connection, and not just in the bedroom, in your relationship as a whole. My name is Allison Lessard. I've been a spiritual mentor for over 10 years, and I'm also a Tibetan Buddhist practitioner. And the reason I'm making this video is because I actually did a thread geared towards men in their 50s who are struggling with sexless relationships. And it opened up the floodgates, and I got hundreds of comments. This was right around Thanksgiving, from men very openly discussing this. And it really is like a silent epidemic. It's taboo, people don't want to talk about it. I mean, people did want to talk about it on my thread, but it's because I opened up the conversation. And overall, the response was very compassionate and really mindful, and people were really kind in the comments. So even I was surprised. And I'm not surprised that this is happening because I work with people one-to-one, and I know that this is actually extremely common, but I don't think the general public knew how common it is. So maybe you're one of these people, you're feeling stuck in a relationship that has lost its spark. You have maybe not just a lack of physical sex, but also the absence of something so much more important for a lot of people, which is the emotional intimacy. So you're probably feeling lonely, you feel unseen, ignored. You could literally feel cast aside or irrelevant in the relationship, and that's extremely painful. So this leads to, a lot of frustration, resentment, anger, just plain feeling fucking over it, right? Of this disconnect. And here's the thing, lack of sex isn't actually the problem. Like I said, it's a symptom, it's a red flag for something even deeper, like unaddressed emotions, karmic patterns, playing out your own karma that has led you to this moment. And that can change, by the way, that's what we're gonna get into. And also limiting beliefs that are subconsciously blocking true connection. And these are things that are happening in your subconscious mind that you're not even aware of. So we're going to start with how karma shapes your relationships. In Buddhism, in the school that I study, which is the Gelugpa school, the Yellow Hats, and this is a school of Mahayana Buddhism, which is called the higher vehicle, because the whole point is to become enlightened for the sake of all beings, not just for yourself. So in this school, karma is defined as movement of the mind and what follows. It's about your intentions, your actions, what you're doing in mind, body, speech is creating the reality that you're experiencing. And so if intimacy is lacking, it's often, again, a reflection of unresolved karmas, like neglect, like avoidance, like resentment. We'll get into the laws of karma in a different video, but the first law of karma, like produces like. And that means if you plant an apple seed, you're getting an apple tree. You're not getting a lemon tree, you're not getting an orange tree. If you are doing actions that are fueled by anger and fueled by resentment and fueled by, whatever kind of suffering, you are absolutely guaranteed to get that result much bigger. It's always bigger than the cause, right? A seed is tiny. The tree that it blooms into is much bigger. So you're definitely getting the result of that cause down the road. That's a law of karma. So you just have to understand, if, for example, you've been withholding emotional support or harboring this type of anger because you're not getting the physical connection that you want, that you're not getting the attention or the affection, those karmic seeds grow into more disconnection down the road, which can show up as no sex. So that's karma, right? Super brief. And the other concept we have to take into account here is the concept of emptiness. So emptiness is defined as the lack of a self-existent nature. Meaning, I'm going to use the pen example. This is all my teachers. This lineage loves pens. When you and I see this, we see a pen, because that's what our karma is forcing us to see. But if we drop this pen on the floor and your dog or your cat comes to it, what do they perceive this as? a chew toy, right? Or they're gonna play, your cat will play with it, your dog will chew on it. They're not perceiving this as pen. It's my karma, your karma, that is forcing us to see this as a pen. I can't see this as a diamond or as a magical wand or whatever. I mean, I can pretend that it's that, but my perception of this is pen. And that's just my karma to see it that way. But when you take that and apply it to your relationships, they don't have a fixed nature either. And how do we prove this? Think about your partner now, the experience that you're having with your partner if you're in a sexless relationship, and all of the feelings that it's bringing up within you right now. That you feel pissed off, that you feel ignored, etc. Think about how you felt when you fell in love with this person. You probably had them on a pedestal. You thought, this person is magical, they're the source of my happiness, I'm obsessed with them, they're amazing. And now your perception of this person has changed. If they were fixed in nature, then every single being in the entire universe would perceive your partner in exactly the same way all the time. And we know that that's impossible, it's not true, because even just your personal perception of your partner has changed over time. It's coming from you, it's not coming from out there. So your karma, your experience of reality, it's coming from your mind, it's coming from your own karma. It's coming from you, not at you. The world is coming from you, your experience of the world, from you, not at you. And so if this is true, this is like the ultimate empowerment, because it means that you can change it. Now, you can't change everything overnight. And I'm not necessarily saying that in my lifetime that I won't perceive this as a pen. I don't know, maybe I won't later if I become a Buddha. But when it comes to your relationships, a lot of things can shift much more quickly than you realize when you start applying these things. So when you stop placing all your happiness on whether the sex is happening or not, you free yourself up when you release some of those expectations and some of those conditions that you're placing on your partner to be happy. That's when you open yourself up to deeper, lasting connection. Because again, the happiness isn't coming from your partner having sex with you. Because if it was, then every single time in your entire lifetime that you and this person had sex, it would be the most magical, beautiful, amazing experience ever. And I'm sure that that's also not true, right? And sometimes you have sex and you feel happy, sometimes you have it and you're not feeling in such a good mood. The happiness or whatever the feeling is that you're desiring isn't coming from the other person, it's coming from you. All of these things are being generated by your own mind, your own behavior, your own intentions. And so this is really, like these two concepts, you can work with these for an entire lifetime, the concept of emptiness. This is so deep, I'm just giving you guys a very Cliff Notes version. And then there are 3 poisons in Buddhism. They are ignorant aversion, or otherwise known as anger, ignorant craving, attachment, right? Grasping, clinging to things, thinking that your happiness comes from the thing, pushing things away because you think your pain is coming from the thing out there, and ignorance itself. So if you look at these in the context of your relationship, for example, anger. Unresolved anger creates emotional walls, right? It makes our walls go up, it makes us feel defensive, which blocks physical and emotional closeness. If we are clinging to expectations, ignorant craving, thinking that, again, the happiness will come as soon as our partner has sex with us, clinging to that expectation, needing sex to validate your love or validate you, creates pressure, which kills desire. And ignorance itself, which means you don't understand, like you haven't integrated this concept of emptiness. That's really what ignorance in this school of Buddhism is saying. This is like being aware of your own shadows or of your partner's needs is also keeping you stuck in disconnection. There's so much going on here beneath the surface. And here's the kicker, like Buddhism teaches us that nothing, including your relationship, has a fixed nature, as I said with emptiness. So the lack of sex isn't inherently bad. It's the meaning that you're attaching to it that's creating the suffering. Really think about that, because there are times when your partner didn't have sex with you and it didn't upset you. And then there are other times that they're not having sex with you and it's making you extremely angry. The feeling of suffering isn't coming from the lack of sex. It's coming from, again, the story that you're attaching to what's happening and from your own mind stream, how do you fix this? Like, how do you address this? First and foremost, instead of trying to fix your partner, because a lot of people come to me and the first thing they say is like, how do I make my partner change? And the first advice I'm always going to give you is that forget about your partner. We start with you, because this is coming from you. This experience is coming from you. The emotional charge of it, the emotions that you're attaching to it, all of it, the entire experience is coming from you. So we start with you. If we apply, like I said, the concept of emptiness and that our reality is coming from us, not at us, from our own mind, our own karma, then remember, this is empowering because it means that things can change for the better. You're in the driver's seat. You're the creator. You're the one creating the relationship experience. So you have to ask yourself first and foremost, where are you withholding love? Like, also from yourself, not just from them. When you are disconnected from your own body, your own emotions, and most people are, let's be real. Like, we don't live in a culture where people are encouraged to be emotionally aware and conscious and present, and alcohol and TV and sugar and shopping, like, these are all afflictions. Like, and I'm not judging, like, we've all been there, but I'm just saying these are ways to numb out and to not be present and to not feel. So, doing this type of work is not something that we're taught. Like, we'll learn when we're ready, and we'll find resources like this, just like I found these resources when I was ready. But you've got to ask yourself, like, it's time to start deeply connecting with yourself. It's time to have deep intimacy with you. It's time to get to know yourself and your dark side, your shadow stuff, your limiting beliefs, because all of that is what's creating your reality. So when you start to address this stuff from within you, your relationships are going to start to shift. They will, and you won't have to control the other person, micromanage them, tell them what to do. You won't. In fact, I have direct practice with this, including times of being at a distance from people. And I'm talking not just romantic partners, but like family members and other people, where I did these spiritual practices and this type of inner work on my own, and the relationships dramatically shifted for the better. And the person never knew what I was doing. I never told them any of it. I never said a word. I just did the inner work. And it showed up as a change in my reality. So you have to ask yourself, do you withhold genuine affection or respect or compassion for this person when you're not getting your sexual needs met? What seeds are you planting in those moments that you're withholding or repressing or feeling or criticizing them in your mind or having angry thoughts? It's not like you need to become this perfect person, but you do have to become more mindful. You want to be like not paranoid, but as one of my teachers says, like pronoid. You want to start, one, paying attention to all the good things that are happening, but also you will become deeply aware of your own stuff, and you'll be able to pivot more quickly. So these patterns start to shift, and they're not just happening unconsciously and chronically. So you have to figure out, like, what seeds am I planting in whatever moment? Because everything that you're experiencing, again, now in your current relationship is just a ripening of previous seeds, quote unquote causes that have been planted. And you want to start with compassion, Buddhism teaches us that compassion is what dissolves these barriers to love, and softening your heart towards yourself, towards your partner, just like seeing their humanness and your own, and understanding that you're both navigating your own karmic patterns can be a really helpful start. And then you want to start taking small actions that are intentional. So think about the qualities that you want your partner to offer to you, and then you can literally make a list. This is an exercise that I actually do with my one-to-one clients, where you start embodying those qualities in very specific ways yourself. If you want a partner, for example, who accepts you like unconditionally when you do something inconsiderate, then you need to give that grace to people outside of your partnership too. Like, you need to start to extend that type of grace to people that you don't like, or people that, you think are quote unquote fucking up, that you have no like emotional attachment to these people, but yet, like, if you can't extend it to them, like, why would you expect your partner to give it to you? Of course you want to practice this with your partner, but you also want to practice these things with the other people in your circle, in your inner circle and in your outer circle, particularly with people that you don't get like immediate need met from that person, those people are great teachers and people to practice with, because then it's really coming from more of a selfless place, because they're not, for example, yeah, you might be nice to your partner because like you're like, yeah, in the back of my mind I want to get laid, so I'll be nice to them today. But that's not a pure intention, that's a hidden agenda. It doesn't mean you can't want to be intimate with your partner. It's like you really have to go deeper into the nuance of what you're doing and why. And again, this will get easier with practice. So think about the qualities that you want to experience with your partner. Start embodying those things. Feeling more grateful, expressing gratitude, especially when you're having like a bad day, looking for what's actually going well. Initiating, non-sexual physical touch. And if they're not open to that, maybe it's just listening without judgment. Maybe it's giving yourself that touch in a loving way, not like in this angry, I'm so ashamed, like, I just have to like do it really fast, and like starting to really create a deeper connection with yourself and the parts that you maybe aren't so proud of, or the parts of you that make you feel uncomfortable. Those are also the things that are showing up as shadows in your partnership. So basically, all of these little seeds over time are going to grow, right? They're going to grow into more intimacy. And if it doesn't end up growing into a reconnection in your partnership, what's going to happen is that you're going to start to become more deeply intimate with you, getting to know yourself better, your needs, starting to meet your own needs instead of expecting your partner to do everything and putting all the pressure on them. And over time, either the relationship will improve or the relationship will start to dissolve, because you won't be in resonance anymore and you're planting new karmic seeds. And so perhaps at that point your relationship goes through another transformation, and then you may grow apart and maybe you're available for a new relationship. But in many cases, because people have never practiced any of this before, when they try it, they notice that suddenly their partner is softening, suddenly their partner is opening up to them. Maybe their partner is coming close again. It may happen slowly, it may not all go from 0 to 100, but they are a reflection of you. Your partner is a reflection of you, whether we like it or not. I know that's not always easy to swallow. And finally, just like I said, embracing this practice of emptiness, when you realize that intimacy isn't about like sex first and foremost, but about the deeper connection and about your own intentions. Again, in mind, body, speech, what are you doing? And that it starts with the connection that you have with yourself. You can stop clinging to the outcome and start creating space for love to flow naturally. Like, this is why conscious relationship is one of the most advanced spiritual practices. You're literally cultivating a conscious partnership through your own behavior and through your own inner transformation. And love like this is not transactional, but that's just how we're brought up. Like, I'll love you if you have sex with me. I'll love you if you give me what I want today. If you don't do that, I won't give you love. But that's not actually love. Again, that's a transaction. Unconditional love, again, it's without conditions. It doesn't have strings attached. And, to get to a place where you can be more unconditionally loving, again, you have to start with you. You have to start with these practices within yourself. So if you want to dive deeper into this, I am hosting a class. It's coming in February. It's called Bliss. It's a 4-week live course on how to love and be loved using Tibetan Buddhist wisdom. So this is literally radical. These are radical teachings. This school of Buddhism is the most radical school, actually. So if you want to radically transform your relationship, again, a sexless relationship is painful. It is. And like I said, I've heard from hundreds of people now that talk to me about this suffering. It is valid and it can change. So like I said, I'm going to teach you through these 4 weeks some of the most important foundational principles, like some of what we discussed today, but we're going to go deeper, so that you can create the intimacy, the connection, the sex, the love, all of the things that you deserve. The waitlist is open. The link below to join the waitlist is in the description. I'm just doing a waitlist for interest so I can understand days, times, etc. So definitely hop on the waitlist as soon as possible so that I can start to have an idea of how many people want to come, and then I'm going to do the rest of the planning as far as the official days and times. Like I said, we're going to go deeper into this and also using like actual application each week. So I'm going to give you guys like a little bit of like a homework assignment, but it will be very, light, very easy to apply to your world, and also some very short, simple meditations to play with. And that's it. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.